Welcome to Mom program, a new show about women, family, health, faith, and basically whatever we find interesting while we share the challenging but at the end very rewarding experiences of being a mom. Today's discussion is on compulsive hoarding. I've always had trouble throwing things away. Magazines, newspapers, old clothes. Have you ever felt that way? What if you need it one day? What if I don't want to risk throwing something out of that because those items are valuable? The large piles of stuff in our house keep growing and growing, so it's difficult to move around and sit or eat together as a family. Sometimes your husband may be upset or embarrassed as we get into so many things. What if you feel threatened by throwing things away? What if your children invite friends over and things are cluttered everywhere? Sometimes we may get anxious about throwing things away, and you don't know what is wrong with you, and you don't know what to do. Today we will be discussing on the difference between collecting and hoarding. So I would like now to turn to Rita and Hazel to join me in the discussion on a very important topic. Now, women tend to collect things, and sometimes we do it as a hobby, and sometimes it can go beyond the limit of collection, and it turns as a result into hoarding. Have you ever collect some things in your home? Rita?
Well, I like to collect things that I think useful in the kitchen. And I have difficulty getting rid of things that I think that could be useful to me in the future. So I'll just put them away. I don't need it right now, but who knows? I might need it next week or next month or next year, like some of these disposable items, not styrofoam, but like the plastic containers. Oh, when I have potluck and people want to, take some of this food home, then I can just put it in there and then they can take it home. But then it's problematic when you have a lot of it and it becoming a problem with space, for instance.
And it overcrowd your kitchen space.
That becomes a problem.
Now, did this collection, as a result, turn into hoarding? Would you say that it had?
I think I have seen that happening in some of those people I have read about. Like they just have so much stuff at home. There's hardly any path to walk around, not just in the home, but also like in the yard and all that. So it can be problematic when it goes beyond control.
What about you, Hazel? Have you ever collected, or are you collecting things?
I like collecting stationery. I like collecting notebooks and pencils and pens. And my study area is too full now. So what I recently did was to donate my things. I finally, had said I have to part ways. This is too much. My study area is no longer existing because of my bad habits or because of the little hobby, not really hobby. It was a passing pleasure that I had, I guess. But it escalated. And I collected notebooks for the sake of, just collecting. And I lost my personal study space, and I told myself I have to stop, it's too much. So when I had the opportunity recently, I decided to donate those stuff.
So actually you started out as collecting.
Correct.
Just as a hobby of
Yes.
collection, notebooks, you know, pencils, pens, and writing supplies, right? But then as you collect, it becomes more and more that it had ruined your personal space, or it had overcrowded your personal space, that it was hard for you to let go. Now, as in response to what you shared, I noticed that you have realized
Yes.
that it is creating problem within your workspace, your study space, and that you decided to donate or give away some of the items so that you can have a better study or workspace in your own home.
That's right. That's right.
Now, many times we tend to collect. We think that, okay, these items will be useful for us in the future, or it's hard for us to let go or throw it away, thinking that, oh, if we throw it away, what if we need it? Right? But we don't realize that it could crowd out our space and personal areas, that it can become a hindrance to our family members, to our living atmosphere and environment in our home. Now, what can we do to help women who are going through such situation, especially not realizing that collection has become hoarding?
Right.
What are some of the ways that we can help? Especially for us, right? We collect. Then we realize that our collection has turned into something that is hindering us.
Right. I guess if it's a very serious issue, like you don't have any more space in your house, then probably they need special help to be counseled by maybe an expert, for instance. But at least with me, for instance, I said that I don't have to collect everything that is useful. I just limit it to, okay, like I just need a few, and then beyond this, and I don't need to keep. Okay, because having some spare might help me to feel safe and secure, because I have something to turn to when I need it. But I don't have to collect maybe 100 pieces of containers. Maybe
like
10
you
pieces
mentioned
would
about
be
containers.
right.
Yes.
10 of them would be just nice, because they always come my way anyway. So just cut down on the number.
Yeah.
That can help create some space.
That is a good advice. What about you, Hazel?
Yeah, to have some limits, you know, like Rita mentioned, 10 containers, you know, that's what I told myself. Hey, why do you need 30 notebooks? That's just collecting dust, you know. 30 notebooks, a classroom of students could use it. So, hey, you only need maybe 5. Just in case, okay, make it 6, you know, just to feel safe and secure. So I think women need to kind of have limits, and when you set your limit, then at least you will feel that safety, you will feel secure, and yet you realize that you are not hoarding, you're not keeping things that will just collect dust and be of no use.
And especially hindering your space.
Especially hindering your personal space.
That's right, and that could affect your family members as well. So it is important to reorganize and limit, and also perhaps go back and check out the items that you have at home and see, what did you use recently, or what have you not used the last month, the last few months, the last 6 months, and see whether you will use it in the future, and also recognize if you can part ways.
Right.
Sometimes it's hard for us, especially, to let go, especially things that are of special and sentimental and has value to us. But I often think and consider this, that if I'm not using, and if these items can be of use for other people and can be of benefit,
Right.
then I would rather give it away or give those items away. But I think first of all, we have to come into acceptance and recognize that we have a lot of items, and we should be able to reorganize and limit the numbers,
Right.
and see if we can share,
That's
so
right.
that other people can benefit from what we have at home instead of collecting dust.
That's true.
Yes. So our habit of collecting that can turn into hoarding may be dangerous, and our children may observe us and see what we're doing. How can we help and train and guide our children that they will not do the same as well? Because I have a teenage daughter, and she loves to collect pencils, writing supplies, notebook as well, and she has tons and tons on her work desk, study area. And just recently she went through them and decided to give away. By I have to guide, and I have to
Right.
talk to her and share with her that instead of just sitting on your desk, the poor children can benefit from these.
Yes.
So what are some of the advice that you can give to your children, especially on this important discussion of collection and hoarding?
Right. I think what you have done with your daughter will work. With any circumstances, just helping them to realize that you don't need so many of one thing.
That's right.
Just limit yourself to these things.
Yeah.
And so that you have a more spacious room, your desk is clearer, and then once you have that kind of organized and neat environment, you can study better, you can rest better in your room. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, so I just helping them to realize that.
Yes.
Yeah, recently my son pulled out a denim jacket that he used to wear, I think, 4 or 5 years ago, and he's grown since then, so he can't fit it anymore. I said, do you want to let go of this? And he said, no, you can't wear it. It doesn't fit anymore. And he said, but I love it. So my lesson to him is, when you love your things and you have more, it's perfectly fine to share the things that you love. It will be more meaningful.
Yes.
So he has a couple jackets already. You don't need so many jackets. And he finally let go, and he gave it to a friend's son, a younger boy. And I told him, if you want to give someone something, you give it because you love it. Don't give it away because you just want to get rid of it, but give things that you love. And I think if we teach our children this way, they will learn to let go.
That's a very important
Right.
point.
Yeah.
I always remind my daughter too that there are so many children out there that are not as privileged and blessed as hers.
Right.
That she has many things, we are able to provide her with many things, and that she should think of them and see when you buy things, that you buy in limitation. If you have already, you don't have to buy it again just for the sake of having more
Right.
of the same items. And if you have many, share them
Yes.
so that others can be blessed as well.
Amen.
So it is very important that we need to learn to reorganize, to limit, and to recognize that it can be a benefit or a hindrance.
Right.
That's true.
And at the same time, we need to also guide our children that they will not fall into the same trap of collection, keeping, holding on, and as a result, hoarding. But they can freely share the things that they love
Yes.
to those who may perhaps need them more.
Right.
Yes. Thank you, Rita and Hazel, for joining in the discussion today. especially on a very important topic on collection that may result into hoarding, and in how we should first of all recognize it ourselves, and then be a role model which helps us guide and lead our children to not fall into the same trap.
Compulsive hoarding. Hoarding can be more about the fear of throwing something away than about collection or saving. Thinking about discarding an item triggers anxiety in the hoarder, so he hangs onto the item to prevent angst. Hoarders fill up any space they're given. Studies show that hoarding usually begins at age 12 or 13, but doesn't usually become severe until adulthood, if untreated. Compulsive hoarding affects approximately 700,000 to 1.4 million people in the US. Hoarding often runs in families and can frequently accompany other mental health disorders like depression, social anxiety, bipolar disorder, and impulse control problems. A majority of people with compulsive hoarding can identify another family member who has the same problem. Hoarding is at least partly genetic, so it is not uncommon to see siblings or other relatives with the same disorder.
Nicholas Barreau said minimalism is not a lack of something. It's simply the perfect amount of something. What is minimalism? Why do people who have more seem to be less happy than people who have less? Why do we want things that we don't need? What are some of the benefits of a minimalist life? Being a minimalist means you value yourself more than the material things. It means making decisions based on what you need instead of getting everything that you want. It does not mean the things that you buy are cheap. It simply means that there's something that you need, regardless of how much they cost. Today I have Rita and Hazel who will join me in this very important discussion. What does it mean to be a minimalist? And why do people buy so much even though they don't need? Rita, would you like to share?
I think this is closely related to our previous discussion on collection. I think at that time I mentioned that having certain things, having something more than I need because I want to feel secure and safe for the time that I need it.
That's right.
Yeah, and I also mentioned that I realized that I don't have to have that many. Okay? And I've realized that probably one of the reasons why people like to get more things is that we place our security on things.
True.
Yeah.
That's right.
But once we realize that we do not need to place our trust and confidence in things, then I think we'll change the way we buy things, or we change the way we put things in the house. And we ask more questions. Do I really need this? Is it really important? And so asking that kind of questions can help us to decide whether to buy something or not.
That's right.
Or wait, don't buy right away. And realizing that there are things in my collection that are not very helpful to the family or to me, I would go regularly, maybe once a month or once in 2 months to go over my things and to see what I can donate to the Pathfinder garage sale, for instance, to help me declutter.
Yeah, I really appreciate the fact that you mentioned that, we tend to buy things, more things than we need because we find security on those items. This means that people who tend to have this perception, they lack self-esteem. Perhaps they don't have confidence in themselves, and they look upon the material things or the things that would fulfill and satisfy their hunger and thirst. Hazel, what about you?
When I was younger, I used to want to, just buy and have things. And I see what Rita had mentioned, security. You want to be sure that you have something for the rainy day. But after having my son, things have changed because I want to make sure he has. And because I want to make sure he has, I realized that I don't need as much. And so if you ask me today, I'm not a good shopper as I used to be. I know how to pick out things and shop for him, but every time my husband takes me shopping, I ask myself, do I really need that? I have something similar already. Is it something I can do without? And then I realize, okay, I will not buy. Or I'll think about it, I'll sleep on it, and if I think that there is a need, then I'll buy. I think we need to think about how we can satisfy ourselves with what we already have.
Without depending on the...
Right. Instead of
yeah.
depending on things to make us secure, we need to appreciate what we have and to try to change our perspective. As for me, it worked because my perspective changed to my son. I don't know if that's good.
But you also have to be very careful that you are not over
yes,
on your
on
son.
someone else instead,
Yes,
right?
Yes. That means that your attention has shifted from yourself in finding security on yourself toward finding security for your son. So
Or for yourself through your son.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
So we have to be very careful.
Yes, we do. I agree.
Now, I understand that at the same time, we need to make sure that all our necessities are met, right? We have to have the security in all the things that we need, like we need an umbrella on a rainy day. We need proper shoes for walking.
Right.
We need proper clothing when we're cold, you know. But when we go beyond of our needs, that means that we might be struggling with some self-esteem issues.
That's true.
And security issues.
Right. Yeah.
That means that we have already 10 umbrellas, but we still want to buy 10 more, you know, or jackets. We already have one that keep us warm, or one or two, but we want to buy few more just to keep in the trend or be confident that we have for every occasion. This is very important in how we need to recognize that are we struggling with ourselves? That's why we're depending on the things
Right.
Yes.
or the outside world, the trend, the fashion, that we need to make sure those things are covering ourselves so that we can be secure.
Right.
Yes. And many times we women don't realize or recognize that this has caused us to lose our self,
Right.
the self-worth, the self-value, who we are, and are we really important? Or are we depending on those items to make us feel good, feel valued, feel important, that we are worth, and that we're in trend? You know, and sometimes we may have this behavior and perception, and it affects our children as well, because our children are observing us.
That's right.
And it's important that we need to train our child or our children that they will find self-worth and security in who God created them to be.
Yes.
That's right.
Instead of depending on the material
That's
things.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Oh, definitely. I think young ladies who have learned that they are valuable in God's eyes,
Yes.
and if they are, if they have healthy self-esteem,
Yes.
they don't rely on external things to make them feel good.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's true.
So
We
like
fix our eyes on Jesus.
right, they need to know that. I mean, they probably still want something nice and beautiful.
Of course.
But you know, being ladies, but they don't. Those things do not define them.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
We need to be very careful.
Right.
It is important for us to have a very presentable appearance, you know, that we look modest and appealing, especially to our spouse. But we do not go beyond to make those things who we are.
Right.
That's
That we do not allow them to define and that we become obsessed in those things.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. Do you have any thing to add?
I think one of the key things here is to be thankful.
Yes.
To be thankful, to know how to appreciate what you have.
Yes.
And when you appreciate what you have, what God has given you, things will work out.
Yes. And we will find the true happiness
Right.
and joy and the confidence
Yeah.
that will be within us.
True.
And when we have that, we can easily pass it on
Yes.
to our children,
Right.
to be able to recognize, to accept, to appreciate how they were created
That's right.
by God.
Yeah. Can I just add one more
Yes,
thing?
sure.
And I think in addition to that, we need to be responsible stewards of the resources that God has given us.
So true.
Just because we have money, extra money, does not mean that we should just buy whatever we want.
That's true.
Because we are responsible to be thinking of those who are less fortunate.
That's right.
And instead of using that money to buy things we don't need, we can keep it, save it to help others.
Yes, and for other needed items.
Right.
That's right. So it is important to recognize, to accept, to appreciate that God has created us, and we need to even ask ourselves, are those items defining us?
Right.
Are we allowing them to take control? Or can we say no and say we have enough?
Right.
You know, and we're satisfied. Yes, and when we recognize that and have that true understanding and peace,
Yeah.
we can be happy.
Sure.
Amen.
And we do not allow external things to control over us.
Right.
And at the same time, we can train and guide our children to appreciate and recognize their self-worth and their value, and in how they see things as well.
Amen.
And to be good stewards
Right.
for Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Amen.
That's right. Thank you for joining us today, once again in Mom to Mom's program.
I like to think of myself as a really organized person. Yeah.
I'm quite organized.
If I'm in a good mood, then my organization is, you know, Maria Kondo, I'll be like her.
From 1 to 10, 8.
8.5 to 9. For school, I like to use the calendar. They have this master calendar they provide so we can keep up with events so things don't clash.
I always make a to-do list, and not only daily but weekly and also yearly.
With due date as well, because I'm a very forgetful person.
I don't like to use phone because it's too slow to me.
My own experience and make it into a routine.
Writing things down can help the person to memorize better in knowing what you need to do. It's important because it brings many benefits, like it increases like your productivity, your efficiency, and also it saves you time, effort, and also sometimes money.
Imagine that you have many things to do and then you forget one important thing, even only one, but you forgot it. It will be ruining your day, right?
It's to prevent from you having too much pressure, and also you will not delay your work.
Make your life run with less problems. When things are organized, I just feel satisfied and I feel at peace.
I would like to be more flexible in accepting differences.
I have to reduce my perfectionism. I want to try be consistent in where I'm neat and organized each and every day. Understand my coworker a little bit more.
I need to improve myself. You know, not to be lazy and all.
I like to rush them. Are you done? Are you done? You finished this one? We need it quickly, quickly. I know sometimes, even though they enjoy being with me, but sometimes they get stressed. I'm sorry.
Live simply, basically, and just if you have things that you don't need, then just declutter those stuff.
Luke chapter 12 verse 15 says, "And he said to them, take care and be on your guard against all covetousness, for one's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions." When your lifestyle dictates your wants over your brother's needs, there is a problem. Do you absolutely have to buy that new car you saw? Do you need that 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom house for just you and your spouse? If your life is about how you look in the eyes of man, we're in trouble. Because the eyes of man sees only the outside. The eyes of God, however, see what's in your heart. Let's live a balanced life, not hoarding material things, not inhibiting you from enjoying God's blessings. Remember to visit our website at hopetv.asia. You'll find interesting materials to share with your friends and your loved ones. Also, do send us your questions and comments on our Facebook page. We would love to hear from you. We would see you next time in Mom to Mom program to share experiences and discussions on issues that matter in the challenging but very rewarding experiences of being a mom.